stop scrolling. Because what you're about to hear sounds less like a tribute gone wrong and more like a masterclass in how to set the internet on fire. Imagine this headline flashing across your screen at 2 a.m. Family turns on family as grief becomes content. Wild, right? Now ask yourself, how does a moment meant to honor someone turn into the most controversial clip of the week? And why is Charlie Kirk's own sister suddenly at the center of a public takedown that fans say was long overdue? Here's the question everyone's whispering, but nobody wants to say out loud. Was this a careless slip or a calculated move? Because after Erika's latest comments hit the timeline, the reaction wasn't sympathy, it was outrage. Memes exploded, comment sections melted down, and then Mary stepped in. Calm? No. Polite? Absolutely not. Surgical? Oh, very. Sources say the roast wasn't planned, but the timing was perfect. Screenshots started circulating, old clips resurfaced, and suddenly, a story about grief turned into a viral referendum on authenticity, clout, and who really gets to control a legacy. So buckle up, because if you thought this drama peaked already, think again. What happens next might explain why everyone is saying this wasn't just insensitive. It was unforgivable. It all started with a single clip that most people would have scrolled past without a second thought. A few seconds long, a half smile, a sentence that sounded harmless on the surface but somehow landed like a slap. And within hours, the internet did what it does best. It slowed it down, zoomed it in, added captions, added tone, added intention, and suddenly, Erika wasn't just speaking off the cuff anymore. She was, according to thousands of furious viewers, saying the quiet part out loud. The comment itself wasn't long, but the timing made it explosive, coming just days after another emotional interview, coming right as public sympathy was already wearing thin, and coming from someone who, fairly or unfairly, has been accused online of turning tragedy into branding. People immediately started asking whether this was another careless slip or something much more revealing. And then, almost like clockwork, the reaction everyone was waiting for finally appeared. Charlie Kirk's sister broke her silence, not with a press conference, not with a formal statement, but with a pointed remark that felt surgical. No yelling, no name-calling, just enough bite to let people know she heard everything. She understood the implications, and she wasn't impressed. Within minutes, screenshots of her words were everywhere, reposted with captions like she said what we were all thinking, and this is the classiest drag I've ever seen. And here's where things get messy, because this wasn't happening in a vacuum. Erika already had a long trail of online controversies trailing behind her. Past interviews that rubbed people the wrong way, emotional performances that some viewers called inspiring and others called calculated, appearances that critics claimed felt more like campaigns than commemorations. None of these moments alone caused a full-blown backlash, but together, they formed a pattern that people were more than ready to revisit. So when that new clip dropped, fans didn't just react to the comment, they reacted to the history. Anonymous accounts claiming to be close to the situation suddenly popped up, offering convenient context. According to one widely shared thread, insiders said the family had been uncomfortable for months but chose to stay quiet out of respect. Another claimed that this wasn't the first time Erika's words had caused tension behind closed doors. Were these claims verified? Of course not. Did that stop them from spreading? Not even a little. By the end of the day, the narrative had shifted from "did she mean it that way" to "how long has this been going on?" People began resurfacing older clips, older quotes, older moments that now looked suspicious through a new lens. A laugh that seemed too well-timed, a phrase that sounded rehearsed, a story that changed just enough between interviews to raise eyebrows. Comment sections turned into amateur courtrooms, with users presenting evidence like prosecutors and others rushing in as defense attorneys. And then came the exaggerations. Suddenly, according to viral commentary channels, Erika wasn't just insensitive. She was allegedly controlling narratives, allegedly benefiting from sympathy, allegedly enjoying the spotlight a little too much. Some creators went even further, dramatically claiming there were leaked reports of internal disagreements and behind-the-scenes blow-ups, though no such reports ever actually surfaced. But that didn't matter. The audience was hooked. What really fueled the fire was how different Mary's tone felt compared to Erika's. Where Erika's delivery was emotional and expressive, Mary's response came across calm, restrained, almost disappointed. And to the internet, disappointment cuts deeper than anger. It made her seem credible, grounded, like someone who had reached her limit, not someone chasing attention. Fans quickly picked sides. One camp argued Erika was being unfairly targeted, that grief looks different for everyone, and that people were projecting their own discomfort onto her. Another camp said this was exactly the accountability they'd been waiting for. That someone from inside the family was finally saying what no one else would. Neutral viewers, they were just grabbing popcorn, watching the algorithm do its thing. As the clip continued to circulate, reaction videos multiplied. Influencers paused dramatically before playing Mary's words, nodding along like they were witnessing history. Sarcastic commentators praised her for ending the debate in one sentence. Others accused her of stirring drama at the worst possible time. And with every take, the story grew louder, messier, and more impossible to contain. Behind all of this was one uncomfortable question that kept resurfacing. Was this really about one insensitive comment? Or was it about months of unresolved tension finally spilling into public view? Because once the silence breaks, it doesn't just crack. It shatters. And as more so-called insiders teased that this was only the beginning, as more clips were teased, as more unnamed sources hinted at deeper disagreements and uncomfortable truths, it became clear that this story wasn't slowing down. It was accelerating. The outrage wasn't fading. It was evolving. And whatever people thought they knew at the start was about to feel very small compared to what was coming next, because as the internet dug deeper, the allegations got louder, the claims got bolder, and the fallout was only just beginning. And just when you thought the storm couldn't get any worse, it did. Social media feeds were flooded with commentary dissecting every word, every pause, every micro-expression. Fans weren't just reacting, they were investigating. Threads appeared overnight claiming insider knowledge, anonymous accounts hinting at private family disputes, and dozens of screenshots went viral, showing alleged past contradictions in Erika's statements. Suddenly, a single comment wasn't just a comment anymore. It was the spark that ignited a full-blown controversy that no one could scroll past casually. Some of the more dramatic commentators claimed Erika had been orchestrating a long-term plan to control the narrative around Charlie's legacy. According to these sources, she allegedly approved media appearances, timed emotional interviews, and even supposedly coordinated with certain online creators to manage public perception. While none of these leaks could be verified, the sheer volume of speculation gave them an air of credibility, and people ate it up like fresh gossip. Suddenly, Erika wasn't merely facing criticism for an insensitive remark, she was being framed in the court of public opinion as the architect of a media strategy designed to capitalize on tragedy. The backlash intensified when clips of past events resurfaced. Fans noted moments that previously seemed innocuous, like perfectly timed smiles during interviews, gestures that appeared scripted, and phrases that repeated across multiple platforms. What some saw as emotional vulnerability, others now interpreted as calculated performance. The more people dug, the more evidence emerged, and the more heated the debate became. Every platform seemed to host a new wave of outrage. Twitter threads dissecting her facial expressions, TikTok videos mocking her tone, and YouTube creators publishing hour-long analysis videos speculating on her intentions. Within days, what started as one viral comment snowballed into a full-blown digital investigation. Meanwhile, the contrast between Erika and Mary was impossible to ignore. Mary's response had been calm, controlled, and devastatingly effective. In a world dominated by outrage and exaggeration, her measured words carried weight. Fans repeatedly highlighted that where Erika's tone had been expressive and animated, Mary's was cool, detached, and unmistakably authentic. This disparity only fueled the narrative that Erika's behavior was performative. Viewers began to ask aloud, was she genuinely grieving? Or was she playing a role designed to maintain attention and control the story? Public reactions escalated further when alleged insider accounts surfaced claiming that tensions within the family had been brewing for months. These reports suggested that Erika and Mary had repeatedly clashed over how to present Charlie's story to the public. Some sources claimed Erika preferred a high-profile approach, engaging with media outlets and social platforms aggressively, while Mary allegedly advocated for privacy and dignity. Whether true or fabricated, these claims fit neatly into the story the internet had already begun constructing. A grieving widow at odds with a protective sister, caught in a battle over legacy, perception, and influence. As the days passed, speculation reached a fever pitch. Online commentators began creating elaborate narratives connecting Erika's actions to hypothetical strategies. Some went so far as to suggest she had timed interviews and public appearances to coincide with moments of maximum public attention, allegedly capitalizing on emotional triggers to boost engagement. Others pointed to her use of lighting, wardrobe, and camera angles during interviews as evidence of deliberate image management. Every tweet, post, or clip became fodder for debate, dissected with forensic attention by an audience eager to uncover the truth. At the same time, pop culture references began infiltrating the discussion. Social media users compared Erika to reality TV personalities, fictional anti-heroes, and notorious figures from entertainment scandals, implying that her approach to public grieving was closer to performance art than authentic mourning. Some joked that she was filming her own docuseries live, while others drew parallels to media-savvy celebrities, known for turning controversy into viral engagement. Whether intended or not, these comparisons cemented Erika's image in the public imagination as someone whose every move was calculated and performative. As the online investigation grew, it wasn't long before mainstream media outlets took notice. Articles appeared dissecting the viral comment and the ensuing family feud, often repeating unverified claims from social media threads. Pundits debated the ethical implications of public grieving and the responsibilities of family members in managing legacy. The conversation moved beyond just Erika and Mary, sparking wider debates about authenticity, social media culture, and the modern spectacle of tragedy. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about one remark. It had transformed into a cultural moment, a viral spectacle, and a cautionary tale rolled into one. Meanwhile, the tone within Erika's own circle reportedly shifted. Insiders claimed she faced mounting pressure to address the controversy, to clarify her intentions, or to apologize for perceived insensitivity. Social media posts, carefully curated and polished, became the norm, each designed to control narrative perception. Yet, no statement seemed to satisfy public scrutiny. Every word was parsed, every gesture analyzed, and every post critiqued. What began as one comment had now evolved into a relentless cycle of evaluation, speculation, and judgment. The intensity of the backlash reached new heights when viral threads began connecting Erika's recent behavior to older incidents, including interviews, public appearances, and media campaigns dating back years. Users highlighted discrepancies, inconsistencies, and apparent contradictions, framing them as part of a larger pattern. Some suggested that Erika's entire public persona was carefully constructed, a blend of personal branding and emotional performance designed to maintain influence and attention. Whether fair or not, the narrative was gaining momentum, and the public's fascination showed no signs of slowing. And yet, amid the chaos, Mary remained a focal point. Her calm demeanor, measured statements, and perceived authenticity gave her an unspoken authority. Fans continually returned to her comments, replaying them, sharing them, and comparing them against Erika's responses. The contrast became a central theme in every discussion, meme, and viral video. The poised, restrained sister versus the expressive, scrutinized widow. And in the court of public opinion, perception was everything as the controversy spiraled. Influencers and commentators began pushing the story even further. Hypothetical scenarios, imagined dialogues, and satirical what-if narratives flooded feeds. Some posts went viral for dramatizing the alleged tension, suggesting elaborate behind-the-scenes conflicts and strategic planning by Erika. Others framed the debate as a morality play, with Erika cast as the controversial figure manipulating perception, and Mary positioned as the voice of reason and integrity. The spectacle grew more elaborate, more engaging, and more impossible to ignore. By the end of the week, what started as a single, seemingly minor comment had grown into a cultural phenomenon. Fans debated, dissected, and analyzed. Media outlets reported. Influencers capitalized. Social media algorithms amplified the drama. Erika's actions, whether intentional or inadvertent, became a focal point for discussions on grief, authenticity, and media manipulation. And through it all, Mary's words echoed, sharp and precise, providing a stark counterpoint to the chaos. The narrative had transformed. What once might have been dismissed as a passing moment of insensitivity had now become a full-blown spectacle, drawing in commentators, fans, and media alike. Each new post, each new clip, each new rumor contributed to an ever-growing web of intrigue, speculation, and outrage. And while the story continued to evolve, one thing was clear: the public was hooked, and the fallout was only beginning. And as the drama continued to unfold, the intensity of public scrutiny reached an entirely new level. Clips of Erika's past interviews resurfaced, this time replayed with commentary highlighting every facial expression, pause, and inflection as if they were clues in a high-stakes mystery. Fans weren't just analyzing. They were building narratives, connecting dots that may have never been intended, and framing Erika's actions as part of a grand strategy to manipulate public perception. The online community, fueled by speculation, transformed what could have been a private disagreement into a spectacle that felt larger than life. Meanwhile, social media commentary began framing Erika as a master of performance. Every post, every statement, every carefully timed Instagram story was dissected. People argued that her responses to Mary's critique were calculated, polished, and aimed at controlling the narrative. The idea that grief could be broadcast as content became a central talking point. Comments flooded in. "She's not mourning. She's marketing," one user declared. "It's like watching a reality show unfold in real time," another added. The sentiment was unanimous. Erika's every move was under the microscope, and nothing seemed accidental anymore. The contrast between Erika and Mary continued to dominate discussion. Mary's calm, precise, and grounded approach was highlighted as a stark foil to Erika's highly expressive and media-driven presence. Fans praised Mary for keeping it real while criticizing Erika for appearing performative. Memes, reaction videos, and viral posts portrayed Mary as the voice of reason amidst chaos, reinforcing the narrative that Erika's behavior was inconsistent with genuine grief. This dichotomy fueled further speculation about the family dynamics, suggesting that tension had been simmering long before the recent viral clip. As the controversy escalated, supposed insider reports, many anonymous and unverifiable, flooded the internet. Some claimed that Erika had made strategic decisions about interviews and media appearances in a calculated attempt to control how Charlie's story was presented. Others suggested she had sought to maximize attention and engagement during moments of public sympathy. While these claims were impossible to verify, the viral nature of the posts gave them the aura of credibility. Online commentators combined these narratives with clips and screenshots to create elaborate theories, often drawing on prior events to suggest a consistent pattern of behavior. The discussion wasn't limited to social media. Mainstream outlets picked up the story, highlighting the apparent family conflict and scrutinizing Erika's media strategy. Analysts debated whether public grieving could ever be authentic in the age of social media, using Erika as a case study for broader conversations about celebrity tragedy and narrative control. The once isolated to a viral clip had expanded into a nationwide conversation about ethics, perception, and influence. At the same time, speculation about potential consequences grew. Fans and commentators floated hypothetical scenarios, resignations from boards or organizations, formal investigations into media conduct, and even calls for accountability from social media platforms for amplifying certain narratives. Although these were largely imaginative and speculative, the excitement of what could happen next kept the story alive. Audiences thrived on suspense, and the absence of clear resolution made engagement spike, turning the situation into a continuous, self-perpetuating cycle of attention. Amidst all this, Erika attempted to maintain control of her own narrative. Carefully curated posts, staged interviews, and motivational messages were released to the public. Each one was met with scrutiny, every word analyzed, every pause dissected. Fans compared current statements to previous appearances, identifying inconsistencies and framing them as intentional messaging. The more Erika tried to manage perception, the more the public suspected strategy over sincerity. Even well-meaning attempts to clarify or explain were reframed through the lens of suspicion, creating a feedback loop that intensified the controversy. The fallout also had an impact on Erika's public alliances. Former collaborators and supporters began quietly distancing themselves. Influencers who had previously praised her performances no longer amplified her messages. Sponsors hesitated, waiting for clarity amid the growing storm. And within the online discourse, loyal fans who once defended her were starting to question motives, replaying past statements and assessing the authenticity of her emotional expressions. Every action, no matter how small, became material for analysis, feeding into an ever-growing narrative of scrutiny and speculation. The cultural impact of the saga was undeniable. Memes, commentary, and reaction videos spread rapidly, making Erika's behavior a point of discussion far beyond her immediate fan base. Conversations extended into debates about authenticity, social media ethics, and the fine line between public engagement and exploitation. Erika's approach to grief and visibility became a flashpoint for broader cultural debates about how public figures manage tragedy in the digital age. In this sense, the controversy transcended personal drama and evolved into a phenomenon reflecting the intersection of media, performance, and perception. And yet, amidst all the chaos, Mary's voice remained central. Her calm, concise statements continued to resonate, repeatedly cited as evidence of dignity and perspective. Fans returned to her comments as touchstones, benchmarks against which Erika's every move was measured. This sustained attention on Mary's measured approach reinforced the perception of contrast, amplifying the narrative of family tension and public disagreement. As long as her words remained in circulation, they provided context and credibility, ensuring the story continued to dominate discussions. By the end of the cycle, the situation had transformed into a fully fledged spectacle. What began as a single remark had escalated into a widespread debate encompassing media strategy, authenticity, family dynamics, and public perception. Erika's every action, once private or minor, became subject to public interpretation. Social media amplified speculation, mainstream outlets covered the controversy, and fans engaged with analysis, memes, and commentary, creating a continuous feedback loop that kept the story alive and evolving. The net result: a narrative that had grown far beyond a single insensitive comment, evolving into a cultural touchstone for debates about authenticity, media control, and performance in the age of viral outrage. Erika, whether intentionally or not, became the focal point of a story that intersected tragedy, family conflict, and public spectacle, while Mary's measured, Restrained response offered a counterpoint that reinforced the perception of authenticity and integrity. And in this environment, the question on everyone's mind was no longer simply what was said, but what it all meant for public perception, personal accountability, and the enduring impact on Charlie's legacy. So, what do you think really happened here? Was Erika's comment just a careless slip? Or is there something much deeper going on behind the scenes? And where does that leave Charlie's legacy honored, exploited, or completely rewritten? The internet is buzzing. Theories are flying, and the debate isn't slowing down anytime soon. Now it's your turn. Do you side with Erika, Mary, or somewhere in between? Did the sister finally say what needed to be said? Or did this just escalate drama for clicks? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your theories, and let's get this conversation going. And if you want more explosive, eye-opening stories like this one, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking story. Trust me, you won't want to blink because the next revelation could hit faster than you think.